Hi everyone, in this video I'll be taking you through all my indoor plants, showing you how they started and how they're going. The plants will be categorized into 3 groups: thriving, doing okay, and struggling. Let's start with the plants I'm struggling with. So I got this polka dot plant back in September because of its beautiful red color, but that didn't last long. I failed at propagating it by soil, and ever since it just continued to go downhill from there. It also got infested by white flies, and instead of tossing it away, I tried to save it by cutting off all the big leaves, hence the way it looks now. It's growing out a lot of tiny leaves, which leaves promise that it might bounce back this coming spring season. I was very excited when I got this Japanese maple, but I didn't expect it to be such a young plant. As you can see, it's lost nearly all of its leaves, and I'm not sure if this is completely normal because it is winter, as they are deciduous trees, but I'm getting conflicting information online. I've read somewhere that they shouldn't lose all their leaves, so I'm worried it's dying. If anyone has experience with them, please let me know what to do. I'm begging you. Now, ferns took me by surprise, and I didn't expect to love them so much, but this tricolor fern is struggling. It's lost a lot of fronds, and what remains are getting some browning. It's definitely lost its luster, but it's still hanging in there. I even tried housing it in a vivarium at some point, but it seemed to do worse. My Albolineata and Evergemiensis ferns are faring much better than the tricolor fern. I find that ferns from the Pteris genus are more temperamental than other ferns. And despite it being winter, the soil dries out faster than I expect, and it's been several times that the soil had dried out on me, which for sure contributed to their sad state. My heartleaf fern has gotten me confused and frustrated. I can't figure out if it's overwatered or underwatered. It's been getting yellow leaves, but also shriveling leaves, which boggles my mind. Can't say I have figured this one out yet. Now, I was excited for this Fenestraria, but it came in damaged when I unboxed it. It was just downhill from there. This is all that's left, and I'm not sure what it needs. It looks shriveled, though I just watered it thoroughly a few days ago. Fingers crossed it will bounce back this spring. When I got this Kalanchoe, it had flowers ready to bloom, and they looked pretty when they did. Unfortunately, it's not looking as good as it used to and is also infested with mealybugs, which are so hard to get rid of on this plant as it's hard to reach them. As such, I've isolated this plant and is sitting out on the balcony while I'm treating it. String of Hearts. I knew from the get-go that they weren't beginner friendly per se, but it really showed me real fast. Though I only watered it sparingly, it still managed to get what I suspect is root rot because I realized many of the leaves had gotten soft and really thin. Upon closer inspection, many strings were mushy at the base, and so I tried to save them by propagating it via water. Unfortunately, it would go through this cycle of rooting, then rotting. After several of this cycle, as a last-ditch effort, I thought I could save what remained by propagating it with moss, and it seems to be doing pretty well. Fingers crossed it continues to do well so I can repot it in the future and reunite it with its siblings. Now, next group of plants are the ones that are doing just okay or have gone dormant. Let's start with the blue star fern. This one did not enjoy the vivarium I installed in November, and I suspect it developed a fungal infection because several fronds started going black. I immediately removed it and snipped off the affected fronds. Ever since, it's been okay, looking just like this, not getting worse nor any better. Since it is winter, I don't expect any growth at this stage. I'm just glad it's not deteriorating further. Next is the fiddle leaf tree, which has been with me for 3 years now. Long story short, back in early spring of 2022, I put it in the balcony and all the leaves got scorched and lost many of them consequently. Of course, I'm sad it looks this bare, but I'm glad it's doing well for now. The ZZ plant, another I've had for several years, has suffered a lot of overwatering with me over the years. Hence, it doesn't look so good being 3 years old. 90 days ago, I rectified this and it seems to have gone dormant since. I bought this Fittonia back in October and it's looking the same since. Pretty undemanding so far and I love the red color. Next up is the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, Philodendron micans, Calathea lancifolia, crocodile fern, and Boston fern, which comprise the latest batch of purchase just back in late November. No real change from what I can discern. The crocodile fern looks like I just got it yesterday, very easy going so far it seems. The Boston fern is getting yellow leaves on the bottom, but also is growing out new fronds, hence I'm categorizing it as doing okay. The staghorn fern is doing well, I believe. It has not given me any issues, but it's hard to say if it has grown, so I'm leaving it at the doing okay category. Now this Anthurium adrianum is a bit of a challenge. Well, the main issue is the potting media. It retains so much moisture it takes forever to dry out. Consequently, I'm getting yellowing leaves, but then I'm also getting new growth. As an experiment, I took a stem with a node in late November and I'm trying to grow it in moss, but so far nothing seems to be happening just yet. Next on the doing okay list are 3 syngoniums, the Maria, Lime, and Pink Illusion. They're not doing much of anything. I've lost a few leaves to yellowing, but that's because I believe they are root bound. They are never overwatered because I only water them when the soil dries out. And it's finally time for the plants that are thriving in my care. Here are the syngoniums that are doing well. The Syngonium Roxanne and Neon Robusta are doing much better than the previous ones just mentioned. The Syngonium Red Arrow is doing really well too, non-stop growing, though it seems to have slowed a bit. Since the Red Arrow is more a creeping type, I'm using the fiddle leaf tree as a stake since it's pretty much bare down there anyways. The White Butterfly is the first Syngonium I got and is thriving the most out of all of them. I find they are very easygoing, and when they're thirsty, they will bend downwards looking like they're begging for water. The Birkin is also one of the easiest ones I've experienced. Up to this day, it keeps on growing, albeit much slower now. I did notice that some of the leaves like to move and follow the sun, so I rotate it every now and then. Now the Golden Pothos, the White Panther, or Pearls and Jade as they are called in the US, and Scindapsus pictus have been really easy. They've grown a nice amount in the 3 months I've had them. The White Panther is by far my favorite, though it's the slowest grower among the 3. They're all very beginner friendly, set and forget type of plant. Now this is one of many jade plants I own, and they're kinda technically outdoor plants, at least for me because I have a northeast lighting, but I brought this one inside during the early fall because I realized it was getting too sun stressed. Since it's winter now and the sun barely hits the balcony, I suppose I can move it out again and bring it when the sun gets more intense in spring. This is how my Tradescantia started, and I wanted to propagate it in October to make it look fuller without buying more of it. Unfortunately, the soil propagation failed, and I tried saving the cuttings by switching to water propagation. I'm happy to say it was a success. As you can see, it has rooted nicely. I just need to repot it sometime soon. The asparagus fern is doing nicely. I've got some yellowing over the 3 months I've owned it, but it's only natural for this specific plant. As you can see, it is growing out new leaves even to this day. I just take care not to allow the soil to fully dry out. I've had this snake plant for 4 years now and it's never really thrived. But several months ago, after transferring it from soil to water and giving it more light, it is growing like never before. In spite of very little roots, this is the most growth in all of 4 years. So about 5 months ago, I put the peace lily in the aquarium as a means to rehab it because it was overwatered and sun-stressed. It took a good 2 months to improve. And fast forward to today, the roots are growing like crazy. It was taking over the shrimp tank that I had to evict it. I know it's too small for this jar, but I'm still thinking if I want to pot it in soil again or keep growing it in water. I love aglaonemas and they are one of the most easygoing plants. Set and forget, very undemanding. One was growing on my balcony and got some scorching. I moved it indoors where it wasn't receiving a lot of light, and yet this thing keeps on growing. A true low light plant, that I can attest. Here's my Adansonii, which I adore. Don't let the yellow leaves fool you. I'm pretty sure it's just root bound, just like my other syngoniums. This one is continuously growing, now with my second new leaf emerging, having owned this just 2 months ago. Also pretty easy to care, just needs to be repotted ASAP. My crowning glory is none other than the Monstera deliciosa. This remains my absolute favorite plant I own for good reason. Very easygoing. I bought this in late July and ever since it has grown me 5 new leaves. I realized there are 3 Monstera plants in here, 2 of them being mature specimens, and I'm excited for them to grow large and in charge. Everyone's plant journey is unique and we can only do our best. In spite of our best, there will be plants that struggle or die, and that's okay. Don't let perfection rob you of the joy of growing plants. Wishing you all a happy new year. May your plant journey be joyful and fruitful this 2023, and may you prosper in other areas in your life. And I'll see you guys next year.